Hello and welcome to my channel. In this reading, I'm going to be doing a reading for the Aquarius personality for the week ahead coming up on Monday, the 15th of April, looking at the whole week. So we'll be looking at the general energies, looking at themes coming up for you, looking at potential challenges, looking at the best parts, and also guidance for how to navigate these energies. Okay, so I've already pulled the cards. I've got them in front of me. I've used the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck, and we'll start by looking at the general themes that are coming up for you in the week ahead. So, without further ado, starting with the Six of Discs, success. So having a look at that, see what comes through to you. Then we've got the Knight of Discs. Having a look at that. And then two sort of came out here. So I'm going to pull them out together because it feels like they're trying to come out together. So we've got Eight of Swords and the Aeon. In traditional tarot, this is known as the Judgment card. So I will just say, in case you're familiar, this is the counterpart, let's say. So Eight of Swords and Aeon. So looking at all of the... looking at all three of these together, it feels like this week you've got success is coming your way in something that you've been working towards in your material world, right? We've got two discs here. We've got Knight of Discs and Six of Discs. And it's something that you've been working on for some time, and you're going to start to see that coming into fruition. So it could be that you've got a new job on the horizon, you've got new money coming in, you've got a new house, something physical, something tangible in the real 3D world. Excuse me. Okay. And it's going to be really welcomed and pleasant because, like, look at this card. It's if you can see here, it's Moon in Taurus. The Moon is exalted in Taurus. It's luxurious. It's a bit bougie. I always think Moon in Taurus is kind of bougie. And it's, material, like Taurus loves like sort of material, sensual, physical, sort of like luxuries of life. So there's something coming in here this week for you, which is really nice. But there is an interesting energy here where we've got Eight of Swords and the Aeon. So let's speak about these cards and what they kind of speak to. So here we've got interference. I often feel like it's a Jupiter in Gemini card. So you've got the Jupiter glyph there, if you can see it. And then we've got the Gemini glyph there. So Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter is a planet of abundance, plenty, lots. And Gemini in its shadow side can be a bit of an overthinker. So I often feel like this card is when our minds are sort of like, we have interfering thoughts, right? And we're overthinking things too much. And it can be causing you a little bit of distress. So with that coupled with the Aeon, the Aeon card speaks to me of like a decision needing to be made or a step needing to be taken. So you might be, for some of you, it feels like you might be struggling to make a decision because you're overthinking something. And it feels like with it being, all the general energies together, maybe it is something in your job, like you have success in the thing that you want, but maybe your mind is kind of like interfering with that and like not fully trusting it and like not making a decision around something. Like you're being called to decide something or to make a step on something, and it's hard to do in some way. But the other two cards are very like, you do have the success. They both speak to success in the material way. But yeah, your mind might be playing tricks on you a little bit. So then I asked the cards, what is the potential challenges for Aquarius? And here we have got the Queen of Wands. So Queen of Wands speaks to me of like someone who knows what they want, someone who charges forth, someone who is fiery. So maybe there's something here about because it's in the challenge part of the reading, that you're maybe struggling to assert yourself in some way. Like, because she's very assertive and she doesn't take any shit. And I know quite a lot of Queen of Wands in my life. Sorry, I was moving my leg there. Ooh. Right, let me sit this way. That's better. So yeah, Queen of Wands people, I love them. I have so many of them in my life. They're like Aries personality usually. And yeah, they do kind of go after what they want without really thinking about the consequences too much. So with this being a challenge, there's maybe something asking you to have a bit of courage this week. And because you've got this sort of overthinking, like you need to have courage to get the things that you want. Yeah, basically. Okay, so then I asked the cards, what is the best part of the week? And here we've got Knight of Cups. And the thing that's coming out for me actually with this is lead with love. Like, lead with the heart. Knight of Cups is, my husband's a Knight of Cups. He's, yeah, like, because each card corresponds to like a birthday. So everyone has their own court card. Yeah. And my husband's one. Anyway, so very gentle, very artistic, very creative, and is very like loving. So it could be the best, with it being a best part, like what's the best part of this week, is that either like there is going to be some love like coming your way and like gentleness and a need to be like gentle with yourself. Or the first thought that came to my head was lead with love. Like that feels like that's what you're being asked to do in a sense. And then we've got here the next card, which is the Art card, which is the guidance for the week ahead. So what you're being guided, what you're being asked to do. So this card really speaks to me of balancing sort of masculine and feminine energies, which is very interesting because this is like this is very interesting actually, because we've got Knights, which is masculine, and Cups, which is feminine. We've got Queen, which is feminine, and Wands, fire, which is masculine. So there's a real need here. This is really fascinating. To balance your inner masculine and feminine energies this week. Because if you look at this card, look, you've got like the red and the blue, and it's combining, it's creating alchemy. You've got the two halves here, like there's two, like it's creating alchemy with both aspects of you. So like maybe for some of you, it's like you've got one half of you that's like really well developed and another that isn't so much. And it's like allowing these to come together to create unity. That's an interesting message. But if that resonates for you, then take it, if that makes sense. Because you can absolutely have what you want, but we have to create like balance in, like, if there's too much feminine energy, then we don't get enough done. But if there's too much masculine energy, then there's not enough like beauty in what it is that we're doing. So it's like we need a balance of both the masculine and the feminine for it to feel fulfilling. Because too much of one, like too much fire, too much masculine, it will lead to burnout, and not enough like magic and, you know, all of the stuff that the feminine brings, which is like the beauty and the magic and the whatever. But the masculine creates the container for the feminine so that those things can come to fruition. Like feminine without masculine is like very unstructured, chaotic, not sort of not having structures in place for that to come forward, if that makes sense. So it really, really feels like you might be because the challenge was that you might be struggling with Queen of Wands energy. It's about getting more into that sort of more masculine energy around the wands, but being the queen. So knowing what you want, being more assertive, being more courageous is probably the bit that's imbalanced for you, rather than the Knight of Cups, which is much gentler, more watery, more peaceful, but like maybe not as active, if that makes sense, and more creative. So you might have the creative part down, but it needs more structures in place for that to happen. Interesting. This is a really fascinating read. Yeah, balance is required, and to stop overthinking things. Like you have the success coming in that you've been asking for, but we have to balance the energy and we have to stop overthinking it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull some more cards from the Work Your Light deck by Rebecca Campbell to see if there's any more guidance for the Aquarius personality for the week ahead. Balance between head and heart. Yeah, logic and passion. Ooh, hello. Okay, I'll take that one. Thank you. Ooh. Oh my God. Right, this card that's come out has been out in almost every single reading. I'm not even joking. So clearly there's a collective energy here around this week, and I suspect it's to do with the Mercury retrograde. I'll explain that in a second. Oh, one more card. There we go. And this one. Right, so first card we've got here. Have you answered your deepest calling, warrior woman? So there's something here, like the Queen of Wands really gives me warrior woman energy. And the warrior woman needs courage. Look, she's got the sword, right? She's like going into battle or something. There's a need here for courage. For some of you, it's felt scary. Like there's something you know you want, but you're being asked to step up and speak your truth. The Queen of Wands knows how to, sometimes this Queen of Swords is also like speaking truth, actually. But then because we've got a sword here too, there's something here about speaking truth. Like some of you need to say what it is that you want out loud and like declare something and like listen to your deepest calling from your soul. But to do that requires courage, and it's like something I am constantly having to deal with in myself. Courage is one of my biggest teachers. Having the courage to do things, having the courage to put yourself out there, having the courage to be vulnerable, having the courage to, like even sharing this video with you guys requires courage, right? Everything that we want on the other side of what we want requires courage, which requires vulnerability. There is something here about needing to be vulnerable. And then we've also got Align Your Life. So this is the card that I said has come out in every reading, which feels like a collective reading right now. Align Your Life. What is not aligned or needs to change? And I've shuffled the deck like 50 times, but it still keeps coming out. So it feels very much like collectively what we're being asked to do is like we're still in Mercury retrograde, which is it's all the re words, right? So realign, reevaluate, reassess, like looking at things that are no longer working so that we can bring in more of that we do want. So having a look at your life, at the areas of your life, like I think this can be a really helpful practice, is to sort of like look at my health, look at my relationships, look at my career, look at my, hobbies, whatever, like however you sort of compartmentalize your life, and then see like in those areas, which things are working really well and which things are not. Like, let's say, for example, it's relationships that you're looking at and you go, well, I'm stepping into this energy, right? Queen of Wands, warrior woman. Are the people around me supportive of the person I am trying to become? Like looking at those relationships, and it's not about necessarily like binning them off, but maybe it's about like spending less time with people who are not as on that soul journey with you and finding more people that are. So that's just like one example of how this could manifest. So like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is in this sphere of relationships for you, but just, oh, do you know what? I need more supportive people around me. And then that's something that you need to align to so that you can become the person you need to be. Because I really believe, you know, like we are the people who we spend the most time with. And if they're no longer aligned for you, then that's going to stop you from taking the necessary action. Again, Queen of Wands, like really jumping out a lot to me right now. And yeah, we need people to help support us on that journey, that they support us and they're cheerleaders for us, and we're cheerleaders for ourselves, you know. That's really important, because otherwise we're not going to be able to carry on. Okay, and then we've got one more card here. That's an interesting one. So we've got Mirror. Who or what is triggering you? So there might be something here about doing a little bit of shadow work, actually, is what I'm getting. Honestly, because I'm looking at the card and you can see that there's like, it's a reflection, right? And it's making me feel like there's something in the unconscious. Like whenever we're triggered, it's because there's something that we unconsciously haven't healed yet. So there might be something here about doing some healing. And also when we get triggered, it's usually like someone or something is reflecting back to us something that we haven't healed within ourselves. So like, let's say you see someone on social media and they're like being really sort of like Queen of Wands energy, and they're like, yeah, like they just really love themselves and like being really sort of, you know, proud and big and loud, and you're just like, oh God, that's so annoying. And is it because you haven't allowed yourself to be that big, loud, taking up space, expressive person and having the courage to be that person? So when you see it in someone else, it's triggering because it doesn't feel safe for you to express that side of you. Again, that is just one example of like what could be triggering you, right? So there might be something this week about looking at the things that trigger you and going like, like this is an opportunity for healing. Where do I need to heal? Which part of me is still like, our triggers can be our biggest teachers. I don't think triggers are a bad thing. Like, I think that we if we actually like listen to them for what they are, it can help us to go towards what our soul is calling us to do, right? This sort of, have you answered your deepest calling? So like if someone was, you know, being quite sexually provocative, and you might be like, oh no, that's disgusting. It's like, again, is that something that feels not safe for you to be, and you don't like seeing it in others because you haven't allowed yourself to express that part of you potentially. And the reason I say that is because Queen of Wands does give me a kind of like sexual, like female who's sexually liberated energy. So there could be something like that. But again, it doesn't have to be that specific example. It could be anything that's triggering you for that matter. So just paying attention to what is triggering you and like leaning into it and being like, right, this is an opportunity for healing. What is it in them that I am struggling with? Is it because I haven't been able to express that part, and I now need to find a way to express that and feel like liberate myself in some way instead of projecting my fear onto them, which we all do, by the way. I'm not pointing the finger. We all do this, and we all like, oh, I don't like that. And it's like, oh, it's because I can't accept this. So that feels really important, actually, to sort of, I know I've talked about that quite a lot, but that feels important. Like, triggers are teachers. And when I've ever done that work for myself of like, oh, like that's why that's bothering me, like then I liberate myself, and then I become the next level version of me, of like someone who is more expressed, someone who is more able to share my voice and things like that. So it can be a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, all right. Okay, so I think that's everything for the Aquarius personality. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you have liked this video, please feel free to like or comment, tell me what you think, let me know what resonated for you. As I always say, like, take what resonates, leave the rest. It is for all Aquarius, so I'll be picking up on various energies from all of you. So just take what resonates. And if you do like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I'll be sharing more and more like this going forward. Once again, thank you for being here, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye.